welcome to my live. Very excited to be with you all here. I wanted to talk a little bit with you all about the two different stories that your family can tell.
Before we get started, go ahead and click on the link in the description area. Enter your name and email and you'll receive our free cheat sheet buyer's guide. 10 tips to know before you purchase life insurance that most life insurance agents won't tell you. So go ahead, click on the link in the description to get our free buyer's guide.
Now, just to give you a little bit of background, so I'm a life insurance professional, and I sit with a lot of clients on a very regular basis, okay? And one of the questions that I ask my clients is, what brings us here today, right? That's my typical question to a client. And they usually, of course, they'll say, well, I'm looking into life insurance. And my question, my follow-up question is, well, why is it important to you now? What is it in this stage of your life that has you thinking about life insurance? And many times it's because they have minor children, or they have a significant other, right, that they are providing for financially. And so the thought of life insurance is now very prevalent. And so usually if you're married with children, making sure that they have a solid financial foundation if you're not here can be really important for some people, right? So I wanted to talk to you all about the two types of stories that your family can tell. The first story is of financial success, which is something us as parents especially, we want our children to be able to tell that type of story, right? We want our significant others to tell that story, which is, let's say I was, I'm going to speak on behalf of a child, right? My mom and dad, they loved me enough to make sure that they had a life insurance policy. And because of that life insurance policy, my grandparents were in the process of retiring. And now they had to take in me and my siblings as the guardian, right? They were now our guardians. And if it wasn't for the life insurance policy, my grandparents probably wouldn't have been able to take us in. They were able to still provide for us financially. We were able to still go to college. Actually, my grandparents were able to move into a better area to make sure that the schools that we went to were better than what we could have ended up going into. We were able to start a business. When I was 30 years old, my grandparents were able to invest on behalf of my parents in the business that me and my siblings decided to start together. Because of that, we didn't face any financial hardship. And I'm so grateful that my parents thought enough of us that if they passed away early, which they did, that we would not go without, and that my grandparents wouldn't have to take the financial burden otherwise. That's the first story that your family can tell. The second story is not going to be as, rainbows and butterflies. It's one more of hardship, right? It's my parents passed away, or my parent passed away, because we do have a lot of single parents out here, right? Both moms and dads. And my dad didn't have a life insurance policy. And unfortunately, my grandparents were on the verge of retirement and they were looking forward to that. But when my mom or dad passed away, they had to take us in. And my grandmother, stayed home with us and she continued to raise us while my grandfather still worked. And my grandfather, at the age of 75 was still working because he had to financially provide for us. We had to relocate. So my grandparents, they had this beautiful house out in the suburbs. And unfortunately, with 3 additional kids, they weren't able to continue to afford it. And so we had to move. We didn't have a lot growing up. Our Christmases weren't what they used to be. And I didn't get to go to college at the age of 15 years old. The moment I was able to start working, I had to get a small job to help my grandparents out with some of the bills. And that's what I did as the oldest child. You know, I wish my parents would have had even, you know, $250,000, $500,000 of life insurance, because that really would have helped my grandparents out a lot in continuing to raise us kids. But they didn't. And, you know, we learned from it, right? And I mean, there's nothing that we can do now. You know, we're grown up now and we face our challenges, but I can't tell you how important it is to make sure that you have, you know, that you take care of that. So that's the second story. The first story was so much nicer, right? The second story, not so much. You know, the second story was the kid suffering financially. The parents of the deceased parent, right, the grandparents of the child, had to take them in and unfortunately face some challenges financially in doing so, because kids are expensive. So I want you to think of that. I want you to really take a moment, and if you don't have life insurance coverage, I want you to think that if you and your significant other passed away, what would the financial impact be? Will the guardian that takes your children in, will they be okay financially? What if their health declined and you're their only hope if you pass away, right? Well, what happens now? Can they still take care of your children until they're of the age of 18, maybe college bound, right? You have to think about that. I think the greatest gift, especially coming into this holiday season, the greatest gift you can give your family is the one telling them, showing them, I love you so much that I want to make sure that even when I'm not here, you know how much I loved you. Even when I'm not here, I want you to be financially taken care of, because that's my responsibility as a parent. Like, if that doesn't pull at your heartstrings, if that doesn't make you think like, man, have I done what I need to do to make sure that my kids are good? That whoever's going to take care of them, that they're good, right? I want you to think about that. You know, if you have questions, if you don't know certain answers to questions that you have, you know, DM me. I don't mind. I work all the time. That is my responsibility as a life insurance professional to make sure that I can answer all of your questions that you have about life insurance. But I really hope that this at least gets you thinking about maybe some things that you've been thinking about doing with life insurance and getting life insurance, and you know, not procrastinating much longer. We are creatures of procrastination and habit, and we don't act on things as soon as we need to. We don't have a sense of urgency in certain things. So, you know, really consider sitting down with someone and having that conversation about life insurance and how soon you can get it. All right. So God bless you guys. Make sure that your children can tell the story, the first story of financial success, and not the one of financial hardship. Love you guys. Take care. God bless.